The AT1222 model was chosen to demonstrate the AT1000 titrator out-of-box assembly because it contains 2 syringes and 2 pumps and can be used in conjunction with any application kit. The titrators are received with the following items: the titrator instrument, syringe tubing, and pump tubing, if internal pumps are included, a holding ring, electrode storage tubes, inlet tubing divider, and a power supply. The purchased application pack contains the other items needed to perform a titration. An application pack is required for use with the AT1000 titrator to perform a titration method. This slide illustrates all the items that are received in the application pack. Items include the following: sample beakers, various adapters, stir bars, glass bottles, bottle caps, and cartridge tubes. The application pack also includes specific items to that application, such as the syringe tubing with an anti-diffusion tip, the syringe, the electrode sensor, and the USB application key. This model titrator has 2 syringe positions noted by the numbers syringe 1 and 2 designated on the titrator housing body. Also on the housing body are upward and downward arrows indicating flow direction. Tubing for the syringes is pre-installed on the instrument. The blue indicators on the syringe tubing are installed to indicate delivery tips and installed in the port with the upward arrow. This arrow and tubing will deliver titrant to the sample beaker. The tubing from the downward arrow will connect to the titrant bottle and will fill the connected syringe. Tubing is easily installed by simply screwing in the tubing connectors into the correct port until a click is heard. The procedure for each application will detail the appropriate tubing to conduct that titration procedure. For all chlorine applications, the outlet tube will need an anti-diffusion tip, which will be pre-installed on the tube. This will be included in the application kit. The syringe may be a 10, 5, 25, or 2.5 milliliter size syringe, depending on the application pack purchased and the titration being performed. Also in the application pack, there will be a syringe ring in the corresponding size that will support the syringe to the tower on the titrator. Installing the syringe is performed in 6 steps. Step 1, the power supply is connected and the instrument is powered on. Next, remove the syringe protection cover. This is accomplished by loosening the screw nuts on each side of the tower and sliding the cover towards the front. Step 2, unpack the syringe from its packaging and slide the plunger into the syringe body. Step 3. Point the tip of the syringe up and slide the correct sized syringe ring onto the body of the syringe. Note the orientation of the ring so that the groove is downward. This orientation is necessary to slide onto the syringe tower correctly. Step 4. Screw the lure lock tip of the syringe into the syringe port on the tower. Then slide the ring grooves down to the ring supports. Step 5. Pull the syringe plunger down to meet the syringe turret on the tower. Screw the plunger into the turret. Step 6. Replace the syringe cover and tighten the screw nuts on each side. Sample beakers and stir bars are also received in the application packs. The sample beakers are received in a 50, 90, or 150 milliliter size, depending on the application pack purchased and titration procedure. Raising or lowering the sensor holder is accomplished by pushing the blue button. The sample beaker with sample and stir bar is installed by sliding the beaker tabs into the grooves onto the sensor holder. The sensor holder is then lowered to the titrator body in location of the built-in stir. A tubing divider is received with the titrator and is installed in one of the holes available in the sensor holder. The titrator model with side pumps installed will have one or two pumps located on the side of the instrument and exposed by opening the side compartment. The peristaltic tubing the pumps use are pre-installed. The pump tubing coming from the top of the pumps are also received installed. Unlike the syringe tubing, there is no blue indicator on the tubing to distinguish the delivery tip. There are arrows on the top of the titrator housing that indicates the direction of flow. An upward arrow details a flow to the sample beaker, and a downward arrow indicates a flow from a reagent bottle. The delivery tubing from the syringe and pump can be fed into the tubing divider and into the sample beaker locked into the sensor holder. Tube clips on the back side of the syringe tower and sensor holder are available to help organize the tubing from the syringe and pumps. This figure was taken from the chlorine method application note DOC 316.52.3092 and details the general rule of thumb for positioning tubes and electrodes into the sample beaker. The delivery tube from the syringe is typically positioned close to the same depth as the electrode, about 5 to 10 millimeters above the stir bar. The reagent tube from the pump is typically positioned above the surface of the sample. The electrode is positioned across from the tubes in the sample beaker. Electrode storage tubes are placed on the side of the instrument and can be used to store electrodes between uses. The titrator has two USB ports. The first USB port is located on the side of the instrument and the other port is located on the back side. USB ports are used to install the application software and for data transfer from the titrator to a PC. At the back of the titrator, the following connections are available: the power supply, electrode sensor ports, external propeller port, external pump port, RS-232 serial connections, Ethernet port, and the second USB port. The power cord comes with the titrator in two pieces. The cable is assembled and plugged in the unit in this location. The legacy sensor adapter and holder are used in application kits that call for the use of a sensor that is not from the IntelliCal product line and does not have an M12 digital output connector. In this example, the legacy adapter is plugged into sensor port 1 and a BNC ISE electrode is connected to the adapter. The IntelliCal electrode sensor is received with the purchase of the application kit, and the model received depends on the kit purchased and titration to be performed. The electrode sensor with its M12 digital connector is connected into the back of the titrator in either the sensor 1 or sensor 2 connection ports. In this example, sensor port 2 is used. The titration software will recognize the digital electrode sensors connected. The software is also able to track and prompt electrode maintenance such as cleaning, calibration, and replacement. Electrodes compatible with the titrator may have different diameters. In the application kit, there is a conical adapter sleeve that is used with electrodes with smaller diameters. Slide this sleeve onto the electrode sensor body, tapered end facing downward, prior to installing it into the sensor holder. The electrode sensor should be installed in the sensor holder so that it sits to the side of the sample beaker and 5 to 10 millimeters above the stir bar. After the sensor is connected, make sure that the sensor icon shows in the banner at the top of the display. A titration method requires a titrant solution and may require additional reagent solutions as detailed in the written procedure. These solutions are purchased in bottles that can be directly connected to the titrator using a bottle cap that comes with the application pack and accommodates this size bottle opening. The application pack also contains bottle caps for solutions prepared in-house and placed in this style bottle. The bottle cap has a desiccant connector and a tubing connector at the top. The appropriate desiccant for the titrant is received in the application pack, detailed in the written procedure, and placed in this port. The tubing connector is black. The tubing from either the syringe or the pump is fed into this black connector to the point where it makes contact with the bottom of the bottle. The titrant solution is placed on the left side of the titrator and closest to the installed syringe. The syringe tubing that does not have the blue indicator and is designated with the downward arrow is placed in the loosened tubing connector onto the top of the bottle cap. Again, make sure the tubing is fed into the bottle till the tip of the tubing hits the bottom of the bottle. Retighten the tube connector when the tubing is in place. The reagent solution is placed on the right side of the titrator and closest to the pumps. The pump tubing that is designated with the downward arrow is placed into the loosened tubing connector onto the top of the bottle cap. Again, make sure that the tubing is fed into the bottle till the tip of the tubing hits the bottom of the bottle. Retighten the tube connector when the tubing is in place. Refer to the application note on the USB application key to identify the correct pump to connect to the reagent bottle.